Hi, Charles SirBookSage here with my 2022 winter writing goals. For those of you who follow me on my BookTube channel here as a reader, I also like to write. I've been writing since I was a kid. I have an entire universe I created, and all the things I write are basically take place somewhere along a 10,000 year or so timeline that mostly follow the escapades of these five royal families. And some of those are fantasy stories, and some of those are science fiction stories, as just technology progresses throughout this timeline of this universe. And I call them really science fantasy because the fantastical elements don't go away. Technology doesn't replace magic. Not that I use the terms like magic or anything, but there are people with extraordinary abilities that would be akin to magic. You have something that would be akin to like wizards or mages and things like that. I just use different words, different terminology. So, but imagine the sci-fi side of the series, where you'll have sort of space battles and things where you're not only dealing with tactics and weapons and engines and different capacities and, the just captains or admirals, whatever, on opposing sides kind of trying to outdo each other. You might have a mage on board each side of that battle as well. So while you have a technological battle, a military battle going on with weapons and things, you will have another battle going on a more esoteric or spiritual or powerful plane as well at the same time. But right now I'm concentrating on the early part of the fantasy timeline. And what I'm going to be focusing on just for the winter itself is a kind of sort of a novel, maybe a novella. One of the things I do, and it just works out this way for the fantasy side of things, I tend to develop stuff backwards. And I am working on draft umpteenth of this standalone sort of prequel story that precedes a 5-book, like, sort of epic fantasy series. And I've gotten to a point where, as this story has developed over the years, I have solid bones now for that story. However, I do not have the supporting cast for the main antagonist. He's carrying out an invasion on this island, and I don't have the people who would be with him from the merchant sort of kingdom he comes from. I don't have them developed. I somehow missed developing these kind of important noble houses in that land. So the way I like to develop characters and to flesh out world building, particularly of a particular place, society or culture or whatever, is I like to just do it in sort of story form. My creative brain works best if I have a story that I can just run with, and the world building parts will fill themselves in as I go. Just kind of how my brain percolates stuff, and then as I'm writing, it finally pops out. So I'm writing a kind of prequel story about a particular event that takes place maybe 5-10 years prior to this sort of prequel story. A particular event that kind of reshaped the political landscape in this merchant kingdom at the time. So it allows me to develop these important noble houses and what their pros and cons are, what they actually bring to this merchant kingdom, and in terms of their skill sets and all those different things. So my writing goal for the winter of 2022, between now and the first day of spring, is to write that sort of standalone little prequel novella of this event, because that will just allow me to flesh out this world building and these characters and this culture a little more. And then I'll know which ones would be coming on this sort of adventure, misadventure, invasion with this particular the eldest son of this sort of dying king who's launching this invasion because he thinks that will secure him being named officially the heir. I don't like to just sit down and here's a list of names and here's who they are. No, I want to develop them organically. My brain works better story-wise that way. So that's like really my main winter writing goal, is to just get that story down. And it's going to be clunky. It's not going to be something that's really publishable. It might end up being more of a collection of scenes where I jump to the important moments in this particular event that took place. So again, I'll figure out that as I write. But that is really my priority. I want that done by the first day of spring. So I'll be able to then continue on with the main book I'm writing. For some reason, the sci-fi stuff doesn't work that way. I'm able to pick the story and pick the event and then just start writing it. And again, lots of stream of consciousness stuff. Characters I had no idea even existed or were involved show up and reshape the stories. But I never need to sort of world build backwards. It's kind of weird how this just goes in a linear fashion writing wise, and the fantasy one, it's like nope, jump, boom, 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 back and forth. And I develop stuff backwards. Particularly this whole 5-book series the story itself was developed backwards. Just why my story brain works forwards with one type of genre and backwards with the other, no idea, but that's just the way it works. So again, just a quick little video for those interested in writing. I know there's the whole AuthorTube part, which crosses over with BookTube to some degree, though not always. So, and I definitely want to have more writing on my channel as well, because it's something I enjoy just as much as reading. And now that I'm filming this, I realize I did not cover writing in my 2022 BookTube goals video. And I probably should have. So this is sort of an addendum, would that be the right thing, to my 2022 BookTube goals video. Is I want to have monthly writing progress as well. Now, whether that means I'm going to film a writing-based video, I don't know. But I definitely want, for myself on the back end, to build in writing to what do I want to accomplish each month. So that's my simple, quick, straightforward winter writing goals for 2022. I will link to the playlist. You can see my winter reading TBR video, and now this one, and following this will be my winter 2022 TV watching goals, which will tie directly into books, because I'm watching a few series that are based on some book series, and I have at least the first book of each of these series in my library, in my Kindle and stuff, that I actually want to start reading, but I didn't want to start reading them until I finished the TV versions of them. So look for that video next in this short little playlist, and I am going to go cook a steak because I'm starving. I am Charles, this is SirBookSage. Happy writing.